like I told you before, I'm just an average guy that goes to work, looks after kids, and does the normal sort of stuff. But don't give up. If you've got a goal in mind, stick to that goal, believe in that goal, and just don't give up.
Welcome to the Mindset for Runners podcast, helping you to access and unlock your true potential as an athlete. Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to the podcast. What an interview I've got for you today. The amazing Mark Hoult. I'm going to get straight into this so you can get to the lessons that Mark shares us in this interview. So Mark's a 49-year-old father of four who last October became the first Australian to ever complete a double Everesting challenge on foot. That means he climbed the elevation of Mount Everest, which is 8848 meters, twice in one run. So he climbed 17,696 meters, which equates to over 58,000 feet in a single event, taking him 42 hours and 42 minutes. I'm still trying to get my head around what Mark did. So Mark's a seasoned ultra runner and an Ironman triathlete. He set this massive goal to test his own limits of what he's capable of, but also in the process, he raised $16,000 for the Cancer Council in memory of his mum who passed away from esophageal cancer. So get your notepad and pen ready for this one. Mark takes us through really a mindset masterclass. He shares so many practical methods for how to approach mental toughness, how to approach your focus, and he gives you strategies you can take away and use for yourself in your very next run. And please wish Mark all the best as he prepares for the Tarawera 100-miler this coming weekend, which is in February 2025. So please enjoy my conversation with the incredible and the inspiring and the humble Mark Hoult. All right, I'm here with the amazing Mark Hoult, who has just become recently the first Australian ever to do the double Everesting ascent, something I'm still trying to get my mind around. Mark, thanks so much for carving out the time today to talk to us.
Thanks very much, Rob. I really appreciate it, mate.
Yeah, well, I'm blown away by what you did, and then getting to know you over the last few months has been even more amazing. How humble, but also your mindset and how you control your mindset and how it's part of your everyday. So, I can't wait to dive into it today, mate.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's kick it off. So tell us about double Everesting, but I want to find out, can you explain to us what Everesting is and then what inspired you to take on such a massive challenge to do a double Everest?
Okay, so Everesting is where you need to climb a single hill up and down repeatedly until you reach the actual height of Everest, which is 8,848. And the rules of Everesting are you're allowed to stop and have a rest, but you're not allowed to sleep. So it can take as long as you need it to take, and it can be on whatever elevation you need it to be, and also gradient. But as long as you reach the actual height of Everest, and it needs to be on a Strava segment, so then it's recorded.
Gotcha. Has to be on a Strava segment. Now this is something I thought cyclists did, but you did it running and on foot.
Yeah, so I did the first one back in 2022, just after COVID finished, June long weekend. And the first one actually took me 20 hours and 14 minutes.
Wow. And that was to do the height of Everest. And then what was it that inspired you to go bigger?
Well, I've always wanted to see how far I can push my body. And I don't know what my limits are, and I don't know how far I can actually go. So I looked into how far, obviously a double Everesting, 17,696,000 meters of elevation. And I looked into how many people have actually done one. There's quite a few actually, which surprised me, but there's no Australian that's actually completed one. And I thought, well, wouldn't that be pretty cool just to say that I'm the first Australian? And then I looked at who's got the world record, and it's a Ukrainian guy who I contacted and spoke to him a few times. Don't ask me to pronounce his name. It's one of those weird ones. Anyway, yeah, he did it in 37 hours and 35 minutes. And on the course that I chose previously, which is down at Newcastle at Merriweather Beach, I believed I could have had a chance at cracking that record. So I thought, well, why not? At least, if worst case scenario, I'll complete the double Everest, I will become the first Australian and maybe get the world record as well.
And is that how you structured your goals, Mark? That the A goal was to complete this and be the first Australian, and then potentially there's a chance of the world record?
Absolutely, yeah. You've got to break it down into small amounts. You can't say, okay, I want to be the world record holder. And I thought, well, let's break it down to the first one was to finish. No matter how you do it, you finish it. And no matter what, in terms of finishing it, I will always become the first Australian because no one else has done it. So I knew that was an easy one to knock off. And then I thought, well, if I can do the right amount of training and have the right mindset in terms of I know I can do this and push that body to believing it, then you can possibly do it.
Amazing, amazing. So I want to go straight into that mindset. So you've mentioned a couple of times that you want to see how far you can push your body, and then what you just said then about knowing that you can do it. Can you tell us about, do you have core beliefs or belief in yourself that kind of allows you to take on these massive challenges?
Absolutely. I put myself into a position where I do the training, and if I can do the training, I know I can do it in real life. So, and it's not okay. You go out, say, and do a 100K run, and I don't go out and train to do 100 kilometers in a training run. I go to say 40 odd Ks, and I do it repetitively, and teach that body to feel the pain the next day and do another 40K run and do back-to-back runs, knowing that, well, if I can do this, a little bit more won't hurt me.
Gotcha. That's really okay. That's really good. So it's building up that resilience and kind of stacking the belief and confidence that you can put those things into a longer race.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you've really got to just the more often you do something and the more often you say, yes, I can do it, and the more often you say, you end up starting to believe yourself. And you tell people what you're going to do, you put those goals out there, you end up believing it and knowing that you will do it.
So good. How do you balance that with, how do you balance going for something huge with the potential or fear of not making it or potentially failing?
That's the biggest thing I have. I've got the biggest, what would you call it? It's like an imposter syndrome where you believe that failure is going to happen. I keep on pushing my body to going, I can't have failure. But I'll put a little stop gaps in there. Okay, well, if I can make it to week 6 of training and there's no injuries, I can do it. And if I can make it to week 8 with no injuries or anything else that's stopping me, or if the weather's going to look bad, I always have outs. If hypothetically on the race on the Everesting day, if it was going to be absolute thunderstorms or anything else, going for the amount of time I was going to go for, I was going to have an out.
Hmm.
So you always have those little out clauses in there, but you still have that belief in your mind that, well, if you can't do it this weekend, plan for it next weekend, so that you will do it.
Gotcha. So the question is not, yeah, if you get it done. This, I want to
It
take you
will,
back. Yeah, sorry, go on. Yeah.
yeah. The question isn't if you will get, you won't make it happen. It will happen. It's just when the best conditions allow it to.
Yes, there you go. That's a decision. Now, a couple of times you said to us that the way you build this confidence is you set this huge goal, but your focus in what you've been telling us is all on your training. And
Yes.
it's not like you obsess over a figure or a distance, or in this case, a height or at a time. You were measuring yourself quite systematically as you were going through your training. Is that something that you've
Yeah.
done through your career? Yeah.
It is actually because it's how you feel and how you perceive yourself. I
Mm.
can't go out and do a time-based training, or I can't go out and do distance-based training. It's on how you're feeling on at a time. Because I've been out on a training run where I plan to do a 30K run. I get the first 5K in and I'm feeling absolutely crap.
Yeah.
Legs are jelly, or I've got stomach upsets or anything else. And I'm best off turning around and going home and planning it for another day when I'm actually feeling the best.
That's,
So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's probably for me the best way to explain it.
It's really interesting because some people would think that they'd fail if they've done that, but the way you approach it is it's really measured, and that I'm going to do this. It's not a question of me pulling out of that run. It's a question of me doing it at the best. It's going to happen. It's just when I choose to do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And usually I'll structure most of my long runs, of course, on the weekends, Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. And hopefully I'm feeling the best I can on those weekends, providing I've had to lead up during the week from Monday to Friday to do so.
Yeah, right. Okay, this is really good. And so the focus for you is a process-driven goal based on that training plan that you have faith will lead you towards hitting your outcome. Is that a fair
Yes.
summary? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I still have a training plan and a program as such where I should be hitting certain distances or time in that period. But it's more in the mind that you're teaching the mind to, okay, now I can do this. I've reached that set point, say 20 kilometers or 30 kilometers. And okay, well, I've reached that in my mind. I can go further now. And you're pushing that body to go, okay, now I need to go 40 or 50 kilometers or a certain elevation or whatever else it is.
This
Mm.
is really cool for people to hear, Mark, because a lot of people would discount what they do. So they might run a 20K and then they say, "Oh, yeah, but I got lucky or I walked a bit of it or something." And then they discard it. But what you're doing is, building bricks in the wall and you're reaffirming to yourself, "Okay, I've done that step now and now I can move on to the next."
Mm.
It's a very solid way to build your confidence as you're leading up to something.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, to remember that I'm no world-class athlete. I'm not a pro or anything like that. I've got a normal everyday job. I'm a 20-minute park runner. I do an hour and a half to an hour 40 half marathon. I'm no fast person, but that's just the way I have my mindset to be able to combat my own little fears and get to that limit. And I still don't know what my limit is yet. I'm still working on that, and I still would like to find where that limit is.
That's really cool. And how do you know that you haven't reached it yet? And like, how will you know when you have reached it?
When I absolutely collapse and go, no, that's enough, that's probably where at a point is. I finished a double Everest this time around, and I knew I could still keep on climbing if I had to.
Wow.
I knew I still had energy to keep on moving if I had to, if I had the right, or I did have the right fueling and everything else. If the crew were willing to keep me on going and give me the right fuel, I could have kept on going. Yeah.
This is amazing. Let's take us to that double Everesting. There's a great YouTube video that your mate Mick made of
Oh
this,
yeah.
which is captures it really, really well. But can you describe for people who haven't seen it? I'll put it in the show notes. But can you describe like what the course was like, and then the crew that you had, and kind of set it up for us?
Yeah, okay. So, like I said before, I started choosing or looking for decent hills around I live in Hunter Valley, around our area that are steep but short. In terms of everything, you want to be able to choose a short hill where you can do huge amount of elevation quickly on a steep gradient, but you get that reprieve, so you're not constantly climbing for a long period of time. So there is one hill out here called Heaton. It's 300 metres in elevation, and it's a bit close to 2 kilometres long. That was too long for me because you're going for 25 to 30 minutes climbing. So the amount of lactic acid building up in those legs is too much. I found another hill down at Meriwether on the beach where the hang gliders take off, and it sits at about 83 metres above the sea level, and goes down to 2 metres above at the very bottom of the steps. So it's a 70 to 79 metre climb, and it goes for 320 metres. So to be able to climb up that hill for 320 metres takes you about 5 odd minutes, and then you turn around and head back down. It takes you about another 5 minutes to head back down, providing if you're running or walking. So you can do 10-minute loops, and that's how you get that done.
Right. And so you did 10 minutes, or I remember at the start, 8.5 minutes or 10 minutes, and then you're getting 79 um, vertical
Meters.
meters per lap.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that worked out I needed to do 227 laps of that one climb, that one hill, to be able to get to 17,696.
Okay, amazing. Now, how did you break that down in your mind to be able to take on this challenge?
Huh. Well, it came back to training, of course. I went out and did 5 hour training sessions on it. I did night sessions on it at night time to practice the sleep deprivation. And then in the actual event, I broke it down into 100 loops. And I don't mind counting it up to 100. That doesn't bother me. And I'm one of those type of people that count down. So I got 227. You do the first one, you only got 226 to go. But I broke it down to the hundreds. So I did the first 100, and then the second 100, and then I knew I only had 27 left to go. And you break it down to those small amounts.
This is so good. This is a bit of a masterclass for people because whether you're doing a marathon or an ultra or even a park run, it's so important to break it down in your mind so that your mind doesn't become overwhelmed with the thing that you're about to take on. And so that's how you worked at the 100. And would you actually count down 100, 99, 98, 97 as you did laps?
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. We were actually counting up as we were going.
Okay.
And the other thing too I did, which maybe have that little goal. As soon as I knew I hit 8,848, I knew I could sleep. So the first Everesting, you're not allowed to sleep. The second Everesting, you're allowed a maximum of 2 hours sleep. And it can be broken up into 15-minute groups or half-hour groups or 1 hour, whatever you want. I was looking forward to hitting 8,848 meters of elevation, so then I could have my first sleep, which I hit at 8.5 hours roughly.
8.5 hours. And did you actually sleep?
I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I laid down for 10 minutes. I had 8 minutes of sleep.
Yeah.
And that was my, like a reward to myself. I then progressed into the night on the first, was it the second night? Because I started at midnight. Yeah, it was going to the second night. And during that sort of 2 to 3 o'clock sort of time where it's the witch hour, I really needed another sleep then. So then I had another 15 minutes sleep. And just as the sun was coming up at 5 o'clock, I had another 15 minutes sleep roughly. So in total, I had about 48 minutes sleep over the whole Everesting.
Okay, this is mind blowing. Okay, I have to ask. So in those difficult times, so like you mentioned, the 2 o'clock in the morning, the second night, you started at midnight. So the first night, was the early part, and you had to go through a second night of no sleep. How did you, besides those sleeps, how did you get yourself through those times where your body wanted to stop?
It was really good because I put the call out on Facebook to a lot of Newcastle runners that I've got around this area, and a lot of my crew actually said that they knew a lot of runners as well, and so they basically put the call out. Anyone who wants to come with me and pace me, you're more than welcome. So I had basically someone with me all the time, 100% of the time, going up and down the hill, and I love to talk. So basically, I had someone with me the whole time talking to me, keeping my mind fixed on the end goal, and just basically talking about shit and moving.
Yeah.
So it was great. I mean, there was on the first and second night there, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I think it was about the same time both times for 3 or 4 hours. I had Renee Brock with me. And
Legend.
she's the funniest girl you've got to meet, honestly. I know you know her, of course, but honestly, to have someone like her going up and down that freaking hill, talking crap, and I don't know what we talked about, but honestly, it kept my mind active that whole time.
That's okay. This is a great strategy. And then just to contrast that, where would your mind have gone if you didn't have people with you, do you think?
Oh, easily. It would have gone into a different headspace where you would have gone into the negative thoughts. You're thinking about what's behind you, and there's nothing behind you. You're thinking about, oh, it's too cold now, it's too windy, it's too humid, because it was quite humid at night on the first night for some reason. I went through 6 T-shirts on the first night where I had to keep on changing clothes.
Wow.
And then they took those clothes home, washed them, and brought them back to me. Yeah, your mind would definitely wander and not be in the right area where you need it to be.
Yeah. And so for you, the right area or where you needed to be was enjoyment and connection. I'm guessing these words. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Connection, communication,
Yeah.
um, and the people who were around me weren't actually pacing me. They were just walking behind me the whole way. I was the one in front, but they were just talking to me and talking about the weather, talking about anything that was happening around their life at the time. So
Right. So you got to, yeah, interesting. Did they ever have to remind you why you were doing it during the event to keep your motivation going?
no, no. My motivation to do the actual event was to raise money for New South Wales Cancer Council.
Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, Mum passed away of cancer back 37 years ago. She had esophagus cancer. They cut the esophagus out, this section out, and unfortunately it spread right through her body. And long story short, she passed away. So I had been wanting to raise money for cancer, just as a mark of respect for her and her tribute, give her a little bit of something to, as a memory, basically. And yeah, that was my real motivation to actually get this done and complete it. And it's funny how you say that, because out in training, there were times where I actually remembered her and I was having conversations in my head a bit with her. And there was one day where I just broke down in tears thinking about her.
Yeah.
And I've never had that before, because I very rarely cry and have that feeling. But yeah, there was one day I was out at the Waddington Mountains just by myself running, and I was overwhelmed with emotion by it all. Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. What a great cause. And
Mm.
yeah. Wow. Okay, I'm inspired by people who raise money because it's very close to my heart. Charity running and having a cause bigger than yourself to go for. You're coached by the current Coast to Cozy champion, Ben Kubra, who is coach for Stroke No Limits coaching, who
Yes.
also is, very aligned with his story of stroke. Did you connect over this run, or did he have any involvement with
No,
no?
no. Ben didn't have too much involvement in terms of his training plan. I came up with a training plan with my former partner that we put together. But Ben's been a very inspirational runner within my life, and same with the previous coach, Vlad, and yeah, so they've all been involved in different portions of my
Yeah.
training.
Good.
Mm.
Yeah, right. And so you put together this plan, and how did you base it? What did you base it on? And how did you put your training into action?
Well, I finished UTA 100 last year. For some reason, I didn't have a very good race. I think it was 16 hours roughly. It took me 15:40 or something like that. I can't remember. Anyway, I know I had to go in for a hernia operation immediately after UTA. And I went, well, from the time for recovery from a hernia operation to my plan to do the Everesting was going to be 10 weeks after recovery. So I sat down with my former partner and we sat down and formulated a plan. Okay, I need to start training here. I've still got a good base from UTA. So there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to do certain training. And I need to start sleep deprivation training from week 1 onwards. And that's how we started the plan. And we wrote out, okay, on these days I'll be doing X amount of training. Monday I'll do a recovery run. On Tuesday I'll be doing something else. And right through to Friday and Saturday where I was doing the bulk of hill climbing and stair climbing. Yeah.
Gotcha. So your plan went from kind of generalized to specific as you got close to the race.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. It's the first sleep deprivation training was like a 3-hour session. It was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I actually had to cut that short because we had a big storm come through, and the wind was blowing, and there was trees actually starting to fall down around me. And I went, okay, this is getting silly. I can't train in this. So I only ended up doing about an hour and a half. But there was some other training sessions I did down at Glenrock, or where I did the event, where I specifically stayed awake all day in the morning. I start work at 4 a.m. or 6. I get up at 4 a.m. And I got home. I didn't go to bed. I started training at midnight, and I'll do some laps. And I was supposed to do a 5-hour training session going up and down this hill that I've got. And the course I chose where the hang gliders take off. It's an actual walking trail going down to the beach where it's fiberglass. It's a lot of stairs, and it's a well-defined track. It's not rocks or anything like that per se. And I got 3.5 hours into the training session. I started hallucinating.
What did you start to see?
I'm heading down the hill, and I saw, the old dolphin torches.
Yeah, the big square handle.
Yeah, there's big square ones. The next minute, I see something on the beach where someone looked like someone's walking around with this dolphin torch. I'm going, I turned my headlight torch off and I looked at it and went, no, that's not right. I turned it back on. I've gone, oh, okay, whatever. So I've turned around at the bottom and started coming back up. Next minute, I saw a fox in the middle of a track standing in front of me. And I'm looking at this fox, and it's all white. And even his eyes are white. And I've gone, okay. So I picked up my hiking pole. I walked within about 5 minutes of ready to hit it because it wouldn't move. And it took off. I went, where did it go? So I thought I'll do one more lap. Maybe I'm just thinking weird things. As I'm walking back down the hill, I saw a bird flying around, and I thought, what the hell, a bird flying around at 3:30 in the morning? It turns out it was one of those yellow caps they put on star pickets to protect. And I went, okay, I've had enough of this. So I turned around, and went home. So I went home, had an hour's sleep, then woke up again, and then did a 26K run in lieu of the 5 hours I was supposed to do, just to make up all that time, just to push the body through that sleep deprivation and the fatigue, and go, well, this is what I will be doing on the event, so I need to push it. So I was basically practicing that I may suffer hallucinations during the Everesting. Okay, it's time to go and have a sleep, which I did for the hour, and then get it back up and keep on going.
This is amazing. Okay, into your mindset. There's two questions I want to ask you. That suffering, how do you keep yourself going when you're suffering? And I'm sure you've suffered both in that 26 day after that sleep deprivation and in your single Everest and in your double Everest. But what do you say to yourself, or what do you focus on to keep yourself going through that suffering?
Okay, when I was doing the first Everesting and the second Everesting, for some strange reason, roughly around 40 odd laps, I started suffering cramps. And I did both times up until about 70 laps. And I don't know why, but it was my quads were just cramping up quite severely, such to the point where my legs were dead straight and I couldn't bend them. And I just taught the body, or just pushed through that, knowing, okay, I'll have a little break here, a little rest, but knowing that if I keep on walking or keep on pushing it, the body's going to have to eventually relent and go, okay, I've just got to keep on going, because my head's not giving up, but body's going to have to give up.
Wow.
So I just kept on pushing and pushing and pushing. I'd get some more food into me. I'd get some Coke into me, some sugars, anything that I could possibly take down to try and teach the body to relax those muscles. I was taking those, what are they called, the cramp fixes and everything like that, and just kept on pushing through. After 70 laps, for some strange reason, the body felt great again. I was able to run again. I was able to go up and down that hill reasonably quick and hike it.
This is incredible. But underlying that is a belief that you can tell your body what it's going to do and it will listen to you and adapt. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. That is exactly right. Yeah. I remember listening somewhere, and I don't know who told me it, if it was one of the coaches or what, but they basically said that when you think your body's had enough, it will go into cramps and spasms and whatever else, but your body's still got another 40% of energy left in it to do what it needs to do. And I always have that in my head that I'm not stopped yet. I haven't stopped. I can still keep on going. I've still got another 40%.
So good. This is
Mm.
so good. There's a lot of people who are taking notes right now. Like, I remember there's a point in that video where it's caught on video where you have got the cramps, and I think Mick, the cameraman, asked you what, how are you dealing with it, and you said, "I've just told the body I've got to get it done."
Yes,
Is
you
that
just got
something?
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't like failure.
Mm.
I used to do Ironman triathlons, and I did four of them. I competed in four of them. I completed only three of them. My very last Ironman was the fittest I've ever been in my life. And for some strange reason, I started getting sick on the first end of the first lap of the bike league. And I was doing really well. Got onto the run. I did 5K of a run. I couldn't stop vomiting and whatever else. And it's the first and only event I've ever DNF'd at. And ever since then, I said, I will never ever DNF unless I've got a broken bone where I cannot continue.
Wow.
So, in retrospect, I probably could have finished that Ironman by just walking it and just suffering it out. So that's probably where since 2000, that was when I did my last DNF. I went, I will never DNF again, because I don't want to have that fear and that what if scenario. What if I did finish? What if I didn't? I just walked. Maybe I could have come good after it.
There's a lot of people out there right now who are nodding their heads and relating what you just said to their DNF and that feeling of regret, and not just regret, but the all of the lessons that come out of the DNF. It sounds like that gave you a huge amount of fuel and awareness and strategy
Mm.
for how to train for the future. So I guess if you could sum up what you learned from that DNF that we could kind of help other people with, what would you say?
Teach the body to basically push past those limits of where your pain level is, because like I said, you've got another 40% inside you. Yeah,
So
that's the best advice I can ever give to anyone.
it's so solid, Mark, because most people think when that happens, I'm at the end and I'm done. But
Mm.
you've just said, actually, that's not even the case and you can control it. Wow.
Another friend of mine actually said to me, when you're feeling the worst you can possibly feel in any ultra or anything like that, just sit down, have 15 minutes rest, and just recollect your thoughts, have a drink, then get back up and have another go. Because sometimes that's all you need.
Yes. Yes, yes. And did you employ that strategy on the double Everest?
Oh yeah, yeah. I was trying to do it every hour, I would stop and have a break, but unfortunately that didn't work out the way I planned because I still got the cramps. I was hoping I would not cramp this time.
Yeah.
So as soon as I'd start to feel that point where the legs were really sore, or I was fatigued, or my mind was starting to fade a little bit, that's when I went, okay, I'll stop. And I didn't base it on time anymore. It was based on how I was feeling at that point in time. There was times where I only did 3 laps and I had to sit down and have a break. But there was times where I did over 20 odd laps and I didn't stop and I kept on going. And I think the last, if I'm not mistaken, the last section there where I coming to the finish, I did the full 27 laps without stopping at all. So
That is incredible. Wow. And can you take us into those last 27 laps? What's your mental process? What are you saying to yourself? What are you thinking about that gets you through that last 27?
it's funny because Mick said to me on lap 200, he goes, mate, you've only got 200 to go. And he's starting to want to talk to me and interview me on the video. And I said, Mick, not right now. I'm not ready for this. I just got to I've got to that point where I'm on the countdown and I did not want to talk to him about any strategy or anything else like that. When I got to that point, it was okay, 27 laps and I can count this down. I still knew I had at least 4 to 5 hours of hiking to go, but I knew I was on a countdown. It was a real euphoric sort of moment where I'm so close to getting this done. I just want it done, but I can't get it done any quicker because the body wouldn't make me move any faster. It was, I was fighting myself and no one else because I wasn't racing anyone. I was just fighting myself. Yeah,
Yeah. So you're fighting yourself. So that there's a part of you that wanted to stop, and there's a part of you that was
yeah.
egging yourself on. Yeah. How
I
did
just
how
wanted
did
to get it over and done with.
yeah. And is that how you negotiated with the part that wanted to stop? You were saying,
Pretty
let's get this
much.
done. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is really powerful stuff. I know it sounds simple and a little bit funny, but it's actually, this got you to the finish. Can I ask, like I'm still blown away that you did this and those final 27 laps. Can you kind of take us through them right to the end and take us to the finish?
Oh, the finish was absolutely amazing. I had all my best friends there, and I had all crews there, and people had been crewing me or pacing me from the Friday night onwards. And I've got no idea how many people were there. So the second last lap, I requested that all my friends who wanted to join me, anyone who wanted to join me, come and do it. And some of my friends were all dressed up because it was Oktoberfest weekend. So they came straight from the Oktoberfest party, all dressed in their Bavarian gear. So they did a lap with me. And then I had all the crew and my family do the last lap with me. And to have that was just such a humbling moment where you can have your family. And I mean, my kids, they're active, they're fit and whatever else, but they don't do this sort of stuff. They don't run with me as much as I do. But to have them climbing up and down that hill with me was just touching. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's one of those moments you always remember.
I bet. What an incredible experience. And then take us to the last lap and to the finish.
Yeah, last lap. I was actually surprised I could still talk and think about what I needed to say, as you saw in the video. But it was just to climb that final hill and get to the top and time out. Even though I knew I wasn't going to get the world record, it was still an achievement in itself. I've done this. I've now become the first Australian to do it.
And
Mm.
and for you to have the mind to be able to give that beautiful speech, which you did at the moment, which is all about your crew, all about the people that came to support you, and thanking all of them. I mean, I don't know how you pull that together after 44 hours on the trail.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, something like this you cannot do by yourself. If someone can, absolute kudos to them, dead set. But I needed a crew there.
Yeah.
Matt Pilley's wife, Amanda Pilley, she was there for the whole time. Mel Ingram was there the whole time. My former partner was there the whole time. They were there looking after me. They had the light on at night time. You'd pull up and they'd have a chair out ready for you. What do you want? Okay, you want vegetables, or they made spaghetti bolognese for me, or I had waffles there, McDonald's waffles one morning. It's just whatever I wanted, that was right there on hand. I had little cans of Coke, yeah, it was all made for me, and that's what you need. It's integral to have that crew that you can rely on to be there permanently.
Did you have did you have a plan for the crew that they were following, or a nutrition plan and
Yes,
pacing plan? Yep.
yes, yeah. I actually requested that I have vegetables to start with, to eat because I was just wanting nutrients. I wanted all the good stuff will get back into me, the potatoes and that sort of stuff. I did Triple C a couple of years ago, UTMB, for UTMB over in Chamonix, and for some reason they didn't have the food that we normally have at our aid stations. They got they had spaghetti bolognese, and I thought, oh, stuff it, I'll try that. And at that aid station, though, I had it. It really tasted great. So I had spaghetti bolognese there during the night as well, and it tasted great and gave you that energy to keep on going.
So good. Different things people eat. Amazing.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
I'll eat pizza anytime or anything else like that, but someone brought around pizza one night, and the smell of it just turned me right off. I went, no friggin' way.
That'd be funny seeing you eat pizza at 4 o'clock in the morning up this hill.
Yeah.
Mark, I have to ask you your time that you did was 40, am I correct? 42 hours. Sorry,
42 hours, 42
40 minutes.
minutes.
Yeah. Okay. That's which is just like so mind blowing for me to think that you did that. How did you, that was your A goal to be the first Australian to double Everest. When did you know that the world record was no longer in reach? And when did you kind of let go of that C goal, if you like?
Um, After the first Everesting, I did 18 and a half hours, and I knew I could still do it.
Hmm.
I thought I still had the belief that I could do it. It was midway through the second Everesting. It was right, and it was getting into the afternoon, about 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I asked them to have. I printed out a spreadsheet of my times that I should be at real world record time and my time, what I thought I could do, and then whatever else. I asked them to have a look at the spreadsheet, and then I looked at that and I went, okay, this is the time where I don't think I'm going to be able to make the world record, and I was comfortable with it actually.
How did you reconcile that in the moment?
It happened immediately as soon as I looked at the spreadsheet. I went, okay, well, this is not going to happen. I'm still walking up and down this hill. Still, let's get this done and still become the first Australian and let's finish this. That's basically all I said. Yep.
It's like what we're
And
learning. Sorry, go on. Yeah.
and I was still actually Renee actually was there again at that point in time. I said, I'm not going to break it, and she goes, who cares? We're still going to finish it together. Let's get it done. Yeah.
So good. So good. The
Mm.
way that you approach your training, it's very measured, it's practical, and you're able to remove the emotion and look at the results. And it's a real lesson for us to focus on the system that creates the outcome rather than on focusing on the outcome and getting all anxious about that. It's a rich
Mm.
masterclass you've given us. With that in mind, there's heaps of other things I want to ask you, but can you give us your definition of mental toughness, if you have one?
Mental toughness. Mental toughness, basically, for me, is building that resilience in your mind.
Mm.
That's the shortest definition I can give you. It's building mental resilience.
And when you mean resilience, I mean it's being able to bounce back or being able to keep going in spite of what's happening.
No, it's bouncing back from any adversity.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I've been through quite a few hard times in my past. I mean, with my mother passing away and relationship failures and stuff like that. You've just got to put that aside and go, well, not everyone's bad, or not everyone else. There's other friends out there that look out for you, and you go, well, I woke up this morning. I've still got my feet. I'm still breathing. I can run. The world's looking great. We live in a beautiful country. Look at every single positive that we've got, and that's building resilience within yourself and that toughness that go, if the rest of the world or whatever else happens around you, I still got my life. I can still do the things that I love.
Oh man, it's such a refreshing mindset. And as you've been training towards your next race, Tara, where you've had setbacks. I mean, you've got four kids that you're managing full-time job, and you've had a rough time. So has that helped you through these last few months?
Yeah, yeah. The last few months it has been hard. I mean, I've just purchased a brand new home. I've just had a relationship failure, unfortunately. That's life. You get over it. You move on. You still look at, like you said, I've got four kids. I still look at them and go, well, I've got four beautiful children that love me, and I love them as well. I had them for Christmas, and we spent time together. And then, like you said, I'm focusing on Tarawera. I'm doing my first miler.
Wow.
And I look at that and go, well, this is going to be my race. I want to get that Pamela stone. And they only give that out to people who finished a miler. And that's my goal. I'm not going there for a time. I'm going there just to finish. And I want to get that stone and go, kids, this is what I've done through every single adversity I've faced recently. And I can still win. I'm winning within myself, not winning for anyone else. I'm winning for myself.
Oh, mate, this is so good. And is that, I mean, is inspiring your kids something that drives you to bounce back and to keep going after big things?
Yeah, because the kids these days, they have a little failure and they want to give up straight away. You can't let that happen. You've got to teach them that even adults fail as life, even parents fail in life, but you can still get back up the next morning, and the next morning is a brand new day, it's a fresh day, and you can make things happen. You can succeed.
And again, if we look at your strategies and your mindset, this ability to, and I'm not going to say wipe the slate clean, but I'm saying you're able to stop in the moment and take stock of what you have and but basically build gratitude with it and then go after it with those.
Mm.
Yeah, I don't
Y-
see you dwelling much on what happened and it's more about what I can do next and where I can go.
Yeah, what's the point in dwelling on things? Because people will just see you just being a little sad sack in the corner. You've got to look at the positives. Okay, well, like I said, you can get up and run. And then you look at those goals that you have in place. Okay, I've got Tarawera coming up this weekend. I've got UTA I'm looking forward to in May, which I want to, I've got a goal race there, which I want to achieve and get. I've got future runs planned already. I've got my 50th birthday in June this year, which I'm planning on doing a last one standing. I've done a 6 hour last one standing, but I want to see how far I can go in that. I don't know what my limit is there, but I don't know how far, but let's find out. I've got Sydney Marathon coming up after that, and I've got Queenstown Marathon. Who knows what's going to happen after it? So
It's
you always put those goals in place so that you don't have low points. I'll, Strangely enough, when I did my very first UTA 50, I trained so hard for it just to finish. And immediately after it, I went, okay, what now? And I had a little low patch there. And so to combat those sort of things, you put in the next thing you're looking forward to. So as soon as your goal that you've just done today is over, you go, that's great. You celebrate your success, and then you go, next, I'm doing this. So I've
oh,
always got the next adventure already planned, a couple of steps in ahead.
yeah. So it's a continuation. It's a continual growth along this. I need to ask you. You mentioned that you didn't have the UTA that you wanted last time. How, if we look at you going into UTA, and we're talking about Ultra Trail Australia, 100K in the Blue Mountains in May. You're going
Yes.
into it this May. Um, how how do you approach it so that it's not based on last time with your fresh approach? Like, what's your goal, and how do you go into UTA this time, so that it's a new race and it's a new goal?
This time I'm going in with the support of Ben Cooper, who's going to be coaching me. Last year I didn't have a coach and I didn't have a proper training program. I'm going in there with that mindset straight away.
Mm.
I'm going in there also with a different racing regime or plan in my head that I know I'm very sure that I can succeed and get basically I want to get under 14 hours. I want to get a silver buckle. And I really want that silver buckle. I don't know why I want it so bad, but I want it. So that's the goal this year, to go in there, have Ben coaching me, have the fueling strategy right, have the running strategy right. I believe in my head where I went wrong last time was basically I went out too hard too early and I cramped and suffered, but I still finished. I mean, I cramped up exactly the 50K sign on the side of the road is where I cramped up last time. And I still remember seeing it. And I started hiking up Nellie's Glen. I caught up with a friend of mine, and we basically walked from 56K at the Aquatic Centre all the way through to Queen Vic. And then we were able to start running again up through our cramps. We'll push through it, and then we were able to start running. So this time round, I'll go a little bit slower, but I think I can get it done.
Yeah, amazing. And it's a great lesson on how you've taken the lessons out of last year and you have put in strategies to overcome them. Coach, nutrition strategy, training different, and and pacing is going to be different. And that's what you've taught us today is about the past is there to teach us these lessons, but how quickly you're able to let go of the thing that taught you the lesson and keep the lessons, if that makes sense.
Yes, keep them and keep them fresh and keep them going. Well, this is what's happened in the past. Don't let it to happen again. Let's move to the future and look forward to that future as well. You want to get that silver buckle, and that's what I'm aiming for.
Yeah, so good, so good. Now, having said that, you mentioned Tarawera. It's this weekend. You must be flying out tomorrow, the next day, is that correct?
Tomorrow morning, yes.
Tomorrow
Yeah,
morning.
we're getting up at dumb o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning to drive down to Sydney Airport and fly out at 7:55, and be at Tarawera or Rotorua tomorrow afternoon at 5 o'clock, and ready to race at 4 a.m. on Saturday morning.
Saturday morning. Well, thanks for giving us your time the day before you fly out. And can you tell us, how you will approach Tarawera? I know you said, your goal is to finish, and that's
Yes.
about. What kind of mindset strategies will you take into that race that you've learned from the past?
Okay, now this time around, I've got a really good friend of mine, Rachel. She's coming over to crew me specifically. So she's coming over. I've also got a couple of my friends who are going to pace me in the event. We've sat down, wrote out all the aid stations on the course, and okay, well, this is what I'm going to need here and here and here. We've spoken about the nutrition that I'm going to need. She's going to be coming out to each of those aid stations and providing that nutrition for me. And giving me those reminders, because you know what it's like. You're halfway through an event, your mind goes foggy. You're not thinking about at 88K you're going to start drinking Coke, or you're going to start drinking Red Bull, or whatever else your choice of drinks are. So she's written all that down when I had a fresh mind and got that in place. I've got a pacer who is like my running wife, who I run with all the time. She's flying over. She's not even doing the event, but she's flying over just to pace me.
Wow.
And so I have her for 26 kilometres. I've got to have another good friend of mine who's doing the 50K race. He's going to pace me for the last 16 kilometres. So I'm going to have a great set of conversations with those two people when the times are really, really tough from 119 kilometres onwards.
And this is what we learned from your double Everesting is how you focus your mind, which is external focus on other people and connection. And that
Correct.
it's a fantastic strategy to direct the focus of your mind. And now we learn how you've employed it in practice by this amazing support group that you that you
That's
have.
exactly it.
Yeah.
You nailed that perfectly, because, like I told you, in the everything, I needed friends, I needed people there to talk to. My running wife, we talk to each other all the time, and her situation is very similar to mine, where she's got 4 kids and they're similar ages to mine. We live only a couple of k's away, and we do a lot of training together. So she knows my thoughts and what I do and what makes me tick. So she knows what I'm going to need to talk about. Same with my other friend Peter. He's going to be there pacing me. He knows what I'm like. He knows what I need, and yeah, it's going to be a very good race where I'm going to have. I'm going to get it done and yeah, finish. That's all I need to do.
Yeah, exactly. It's so nice to hear when the way you set it up, Mark. It's you've put it all into a system so that you can focus on running and people know what you need. And this is what I think a lot of runners need to learn about support crew and planning is have it all set up so that you can focus on your job as a runner and not having to worry about managing everything else.
Yeah, and like I also said before, it comes back to your crew. Your crew is integral in getting you to the finish line. And if you don't have a crew that have your back and know what you need and sit down with you a couple of weeks before and go through the race with you and go, okay, at this aid station, this is what you need and what's your favourite drinks and what's your favourite foods and what's your favourite music. Rachel, my friend who's coming over with me, she's gone through all that going, okay, what music are you going to want to listen to? Okay, I'll give you a battery charger at this point, and so you can charge your phone and get your music ready. And okay, at this point, Belinda's going to be there ready to run with you, and she's going to talk about this. And yeah, it's all well laid out.
Yeah, that's unreal. Great strategy. I hope everyone's learning as much as I am from you. I got to say thank you. Thanks so much for everything you've shared. This time has gone so quickly for me. I do want to ask finish by asking you if you could give us one thing to take away, like what for the runner out there that's wanting to work on their mindset or maybe improve their mental toughness, or if that's what you want to call it, or how to suffer, or what's one mental strategy you can share with people to take away from this call?
It's a very simple one, but honestly, don't give up. Just keep on going. I mean, like I told you before, I'm just an average guy that goes to work, looks after kids, and does the normal sort of stuff. But don't give up. If you've got a goal in mind, stick to that goal, believe in that goal, and just don't give up.
Mark Hoult, what a great way to finish this interview. Thank you for your time. All the best at Tarawera, all the best at UTA, all the best at the backyard for Sydney and Queenstown. But mate, thanks for sharing everything you have today. It's been an absolute masterclass.
Thank you very much, Robert. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Mindset for Runners podcast. I hope you got something practical and useful out of this podcast, or something inspiring to help you get out for your next run. If you have a question about Mindset for Runners or athletes in general, please email me at robmason.run@gmail.com and I'll answer your question on an upcoming podcast. And if there's anybody you know who could benefit from the information I share in this podcast, please share it with them. See you next time.